Hello and welcome to the Alexandra Wenman show. I'm so excited to introduce you to another of our amazing alchemistic keynote speakers, Yolanda Sokiri. She is a poetic soul healer and she is actually an all-round incredible alchemist. And one of the beautiful gifts that Yolanda has is a gift of a way with words, definitely. But she comes with such a beautiful, huge open-hearted warmth. I mean, just sitting in her presence is quite something to behold. Yolanda, thank you so much for joining me here today.
Such a pleasure, Alexandra. I'm naturally inclined to say, of course, a precious invitation. I received it, I heard it. You shine it so brightly. Our co-partner, Colin, also. And I just felt it was an honor to serve together. Yes.
We are so blessed to have you as part of our event. And I might actually start there because I'd love for you to just tell our viewers a little bit about what they can expect to receive from you as part of the conference.
So when I received the invitation, I truly wanted an openness. The word that I speak of is often encouragement. And as I looked at the word and felt into what it was as an offering for this era, because I truly feel that we are preparing ourselves for an entire era, it was an earthy form of expression, just encouragement. It was rested reverence so that it felt and was embodied. And best of all, it was an allowance, an acceptance, and an all-round sense that simply by being present, listening to the invitation, we are naturally guided. We are naturally guided. So the term I'm using is encouragement. And in a lot of what I do, in one word, we are invited to open up to several layers. It's the age we're in the word encouragement, comes at the end, age, it's angelic, it's a gratitude, and it's about embodiment. That's age, the short but clear acrostic poem. It's about recognizing the rage, one letter in addition. It's a radical invitation, that's the R. And the A on this occasion becomes about activating, allowing ourselves to breathe into a form of spaciousness that for many is beyond awakening, but remembering. And the G on this occasion is beyond gratitude. It's the grace of giving and the grace of receiving. And the E is the ease with which these forms of encounters will naturally take place. We become like magnets. And though the word may read as rage, it's truly about those emotions that we've all known. We have known that rage is an inviting emotion, one that's been neglected, isolated, much like the experience we've all had as a global community in this pandemic breath. And it's so important to recognize that rage isn't a state of stuckness. Where do we spill out further and embody more? And so naturally I looked to those other letters that form the collective, that consciousness that is encouragement. It was courage. I can only speak for my walk. It takes courage, a very human form of courage. Where's your support? Where is your support? That sense of belonging that allows you to know you can bring all parts of you, the emotional parts, the spiritual parts, that which may be defined as trauma, that which is beyond that, and is the claiming back of all that you knew when you chose to land on earth now. So whether it's this workshop or whether it's just a life invitation, by being present together with so many who are doing a similar walk, but unique and universal. I seek our encouragement. And I know that courage, rage, and age are part of that story. I know it to be true because it's in my earth body. And what's in one is in the whole. And what's in the whole may be allowed with encouragement to be recognized in just one.
No, stunning. That I feel a bit lost for words after hearing you speak and feeling the energy coming through you. That was absolutely beautiful. And so much of that really speaks of embodying the all, you know, not just seeking to feel happy or blissful, but to embody everything that we're going through, to acknowledge and alchemize our experience through our emotions. And I'm very much on the same page. So I know that, and so many of us are, I know that our lovely Faye is going to be doing some emotional alchemy as well. But the thing I absolutely just love about you is how much you can go into the way that we speak and the energy carried by words and the way that the themes that come through the language. It's absolutely incredible. If we think about, in the beginning was the word, you know, I do a lot of work with sound and words, and as you know, we're both fellow poets, and I think that's what drew us together in the first place. And but there's something about the etymology of the words that I think you have such a multi-dimensional perspective on, such a divine perspective on it, and the way that you see and can almost pull apart and put back together words in this beautiful, poetic yet deeply healing and alchemizing way is so unique. And I really just want to honor that. You know, you're such an original in that way. And you know, it is sometimes we don't have the words. You've rendered me speechless, really, literally. And sometimes we don't have the words, and sometimes it really goes beyond words. I guess in a similar way, I work with symbol, and we can see words or symbols, the symbolism of the words, as gateways to higher or super consciousness or deeper into the subconscious, can't we? Can you speak a little more to that? Oh, I've lost your sound, honey.
Oh, can you hear me now?
I can, yes.
Thank you. So it's with a lot of joy that I will speak to, I believe, something that's very common to all of us. The invisible realm is one where just to describe it almost feels, well, it's beyond challenging. It is beyond challenging. And one of the things that I'm inviting more of us to step into is acknowledging that as our baseline, as our common foundation. We are lost for words, and that is a source of deep wisdom. What do you do when the word may not reflect the depths, the width, the breadth, the length with which you have either experienced it or wish to engage in a relationship with it? And it's the intimacy of that relationship that I believe, when we work with symbols, when we see the signs, we're actually allowed to be far more human, to simply recognize that, like a child will trust a loving carer. And I use the generic term carer, we're not all privileged with a loving parent, but I trust that at the divine time, we are uplifted and praised by a loving carer. And they often don't operate with words. You know exactly what I mean. You who's listening and you who's querying, maybe on the edge of whether this gathering is a place for you. That inquiry, that invitation and ask is the foundation that we all journey through. And it does invite us to take a whole new view, to pioneer. I think pioneer is one of those words that is often left like genius, like it's for just a few. The invitation is that we all at one point pioneer. As two-legged sentient beings of the human family, We pioneer something. We recognize that our heritage is either a source of support or it's been the cause of our deep damage. And to pioneer is to stretch out a hand to our fellow members of the heritage line, while also recognizing that we're stretching out a hand that seeks a chord that may well be invisible. There is no name, and yet we trust. So I'm inviting the child in us to see that inner family. And I know it may be uncommon, but I truly believe it's an inner family. We have our inner child, we have our inner elder, we have our, as I like to call it, that radical teen that sits in between and lovingly teases maybe the elder in us. Be more playful, be more daring, and lovingly embraces the possible scared child. And as I've come to say, the part for me that rearranged scared and said, same letters, scared is sacred. Scared is sacred. It's that beginning foundation that makes me know an earth angel like Alexandra took that precious first invitation that landed through for a gathering of this nature and knew collectively we'll be much more than the sum, much more than the individual parts. And I believe that. I stand and rise for that in deep gratitude, because it takes love. It takes love, a loyalty to our soul yearning. We often talk of relationships like that with other sentient beings, and yet the journey to the loyalty to our soul, that's a yearning that few can ignore for too long. And the O is the obedience, that simplicity, childlike obedience. I do not know. I continue to ask to be encouraged, because I will trust that voice, values, and shared in full view, we will have the earth's full support. I'm a big Black being, and very few trampolines can truly make me feel rested. But the land has never spoken back and said, you can't dance, you can't walk, you can lay. And it's that energy that you have beautifully weaved into this experience. And to weave it, one embodies it with a lot of humility. It's a practice. It invites all of us, the flavors, the flaws. It's a fragrance. It's a fragrance. And I can only ask anyone who's on the periphery and on the edges, if you're there, there is a reason. Come in. The view's better right within the heart of what we're embracing and we're delivering. And we can only do it with everyone doing their part, showing up.
It's so true. I'm finding more and more as we move through this human evolution that so much is not needed to be said. We're moving into more of that telepathic landscape that I know that a lot of the tribes really still have really powerfully. I know the Australian Aborigines, you know, they always said that the voice was only created for devotion and healing. And so their communication, you know, was predominantly telepathic, is still predominantly telepathic. And I know that I have that ability, and many of us who are coming to the conference and speaking at the conference and doing the work that we do, we use that ability every day. You know I use it in my client sessions to pick up on what my clients are feeling. And obviously sitting here with you, I feel it really beautifully, like a flow of energy, unspoken, just unconditional love between us. And this, you know, it almost, I want to say the word remembrance. And you said remembering. And a friend of mine actually had written a beautiful poem, and it reminded me of one of his poems. And he said, remembering means putting your limbs back together. And it is like we're putting humanity back together. You know, we're putting ourselves back together in each other, and everything is a mirroring and remembering. That there's that saying where, you know, we're all walking each other home. I really felt it was important to have this event in person, and Colin felt the same, that we needed an in-person community event where people could come and see each other and interact, and, you know, whether coming alone or bringing friends or just showing up. And even those people who don't really know why they feel called, like you said, like sometimes people have a specific intention, sometimes they have no idea why they're called, but it's that invitation just to follow the call, to follow the flow, follow the bliss. And that brings me full circle to you and your journey and your path, because clearly you have followed the call all the way to where you are now and will continue to do so. But how did it start for you, this call to now help others, to do what you do, to follow the soul?
Thank you for the question. And my answer always starts in a very practical manner. I'm born in Africa. I'm born in Dar es Salaam. And that's literally, it translates to the port of welcome in Tanzania. And that isn't something I choose to ignore. I landed on earth in the port of welcome. And initially that soil was all about doing the work around social justice. So it's true that initially my professional path was women's rights, voluntary sector advocacy work, and women. That led me to welcome one of the choices that women may invite into one of their roles that they play, which is mothering. And becoming a mother meant that for me, the advocacy work that I chose to do around children's rights became such a constant heartbeat. Recognizing that being a woman doesn't make me a mother. It's an interesting inquiry, a gateway. What then is the role that one plays? And as I looked at the role that I chose to play, it was so beautiful to see that that inquiry naturally became the soil I was born on, sought to travel and engage with others around social injustice, body injustice, beyond the skin, beyond the color of the skin, body injustice in terms of, for refugee communities, as the World Food Programme Officer, food rights.
Wow.
What is nourishment about? And now at this point in my life, as I look at it as a form of practice and a service, a form of self-leadership, I recognize that I'm fully engaged in a journey that many are doing, not alone. I'm one of many. And that journey, simply put, is recognizing that a rested soul is naturally called to be fully open and to welcome all parts of themselves back home. So that's the invitation, from soil to soul. And that is the nourishment that I believe will truly feed all who step into it in order to rest better into it and engage with ease, because we've done our journeys around burnout, we've done our journeys around therapeutic support. We continue to know that as natural people, lifelong learning means we explore quite a few journeys. And my invitation is to simply be personally, professionally, politically, powerfully inviting all aspects of me to be. It's become so important. And as we meet during Black History Month in the United Kingdom, where I've spent several years, not only in terms of my education background, but also professionally, I am all about recognizing our heritage. I come from the Kilimanjaro, a dormant volcano. They call that grandmother a dormant volcano. It also feels almost like an oxymoron. You know, You say volcano, and then the human wants to attach dormant, to categorize, is it alive or dormant or cold? Well, I believe that like all, once we are labeled, we have a responsibility to unlearn that label. And so I invite a lot of people to say, well, I may have appeared on that land, but maybe I'm an ocean volcano. Maybe I'm more connected to the iceberg, that journey of melting away. And through all that life can offer us, let water quench that thirst. Let water quench that thirst and join the land. And so I bring it down to the smallest of particles. For human beings, it's often the neglected child. And I invite us all to consciously parent ourselves, and know that every part of us will walk us home. Ram Das and so many other wisdom keepers, peace be upon all of those, continues to speak through those present now. I often find myself in a space of silence. What more can I add, Maya Angelou said it so beautifully. Bell Hooks whispered it to so many. Audre Lorde went as far as coming out to Europe on many occasions to say, we are not to do this on our own. So the invitation to our brothers and sisters, to those who wish to define themselves as simply human, it's our multidimensional aspect that makes me know I am an incarnation of many lives lived, a warrior, a priestess, a devotion practitioner, Egyptian, Nordic, Celtic, beyond the skin. I trust. I'm remembering. It was beautiful, the limb-to-limb invitation. I may have felt broken, shattered, and scarred, but I remind myself, scared is sacred. Thank you for being. Your very presence has got so many codes. For those who can see, it's a joy. And the moonlight that you beam out, it does invite us to look up, in that dark space to look up, because the moon will always let us grace her eyes and our eyes. We can stare directly. The sun is a bit of a burning journey, and we need both. That's my invitation, to embody and breathe through both. I'm blessed. I'm blessed.
Beautiful, beautiful. And for those watching, you can imagine, can't you, what it must be like to work with this woman one-on-one. I mean, I'm having the privilege of sitting in her presence here today. Yolanda, with your work that you do, your private work, what can people expect? So they can book one-to-one sessions with you, I'm guessing, and group work as well. What would a session with you look like?
Well, I think the first thing I can say is that often it looks very ordinary. And in fact, I'm actually quite proud of the fact that I have pioneered a very ordinary sense of there's not much preparing beforehand. Life has taken care of that. And I'm just so proud of the commitment to their personal journey, that sense of deep willingness to journey in quite a depth. And so it's playful, it's powerful, it's human. It's a combination of silence, of certain forms of experiential invitations. It's often taking something quite ordinary, like, did you pop into the galleries and see those paintings? And then inviting the oracular and the oracle within that are part of my spiritual gifts to simply praise and raise and encourage them to do that work of understanding that it is the ordinary moments that engage the extraordinary gifts that are landing and being upgraded within them. I have not found one individual, naturally called to work with me, who hasn't recognized they are a spiritual being. The challenge is the integration, that support with the initiation. And so there are oracle cards for those who still need.
Oh, I'm losing your sound again. Sorry, honey.
Sorry, lovey. I said, for some, there are oracle cards. I physically will take out the work of other divine souls, collect down and read, Alana Fairchild, whatever tool is familiar to them. And for others, I don't need that. For others, I can simply use my own pioneering power words to continue to raise them. Quite often, I always recognize I do not need to know, but I recognize that their life experience, my life experience, comes together. It's mirroring, it is psychological, it is emotional. But what I always invite people to recognize, it's more than that. It's not therapy. It's soul healing. It integrates the individual so that they have a sustainable system, their own system, that they can laugh at and laugh with. Because yes, quite often we simply say to ourselves, and to think that I had ignored that, and that you made such a thing of it. So this symbol represents a mother raising a child up. This is the symbol. The mother within you. Whether you are technically a role that is mother, isn't the path. The real inquiry is, are you mothering yourself? Are you allowing Mother Earth to mother you? Are you allowing the sentient beings, the magnanimous and beauty of all that is? And that invitation is either a one-off invitation, always led by the self. I often say, I don't end with a particular time other than the group work. And I do that for my own mental health. And that's also something to speak. We're speaking the day after the World Mental Health Day. For my mental health, I contain an intense and amplified and magnified group container called Welcome Home. And that is a 6-month container. I will always open it and celebrate the closing of it, knowing that once you enter into that heart space, it's a collective heartbeat, ripples for all, forever, for now. And yet the one-on-one, it's self-led. Come along for 3 weeks because it appears to be one issue. And that just might be the early grounding, simple practice. Step away, it is intense, step away, and then return, seeking another form of depth and inquiry. I'm held, they are held. Our teams work with us. We're in an entirely new era of ease and grace. That lack mentality, that lack mindset that maybe a lot of people read into when they think of a Black being. That's not what I'm about. It's about the beauty of the power that's held beyond the skin. Not everybody who looks like me is of my kind. The saying is known. Not all kinfolk are family. And yet I do know there is something quite mad that takes place when two human beings who on the surface do not look the same look at that polarity and are attracted. There is completion. It's not a statement, it's a knowing. I've experienced it so many times. I work with a beautiful soul coach, Canadian, European, doesn't look like me, and yet it's completion. And so I look to work with people who are doing that work, who are seeking nourishment in the diverse forms that we need it, whether it's through body work, whether it's with specializations around emotional coding, IFS and others. I do not seek to take up the full space. That's not a codependent pattern I honor. But I am one particle amongst their rainbow light. I place myself within that space so they take up the full space.
Mm.
The sentence I wish all of us to say is, I know who I am, I know how I am, and I am enabled to show up as I am.
Mm.
I claim that word enabled in the original design, the healthy design, an ability that has come through noble, engaged, and welcome home work. It's done not just with me. It's pure, it's precious.
Mm.
It's a journey.
There's something about allowing ourselves to listen to ourselves as well, to hear ourselves. There's something kind of coming through around, you know, if you're feeling like you haven't been heard, or you haven't been listened to, or you haven't been held in the way that you need to, there's an invitation to show up for yourself, to listen to yourself, to acknowledge yourself. I'm doing a lot of work at the moment on, you know, really being my own beloved, really falling in love with the self, with the soul, with that, you know, reconnecting to the soul within, the sacred union that is one's own relationship to self. And I think that's our first and most important relationship before any other. And reunification of soul, remembering again. So beautiful, so beautiful. And your words are so beautifully put, but it is so much more than the words. I really feel the energy that you're channeling through. And, you know, you and I, we call them codes. And for whatever word anyone else would refer to it as, it's basically just the permeation of love energy just coming through, just unconditional love. And I really see that in you. I really feel that in you, and I really honor that in you. And I feel that this is exactly the reason I wanted to run this Alchymystic Conference, was to bring people like yourself together so that we create a huge portal of love in that space that ripples out into microcosm to macrocosm, that it's a sharing for all. And what I know of all of us speakers and everyone involved in this event is that there's not one person who is just, you know, me, and we talk about self-love, but that self-love is also for all. You know, it's one and all. We're all part of that oneness, and this is the whole point of it, really, to come together in that holy union of our divinity and our love energy and each other, and really acknowledging that it's unity, love, consciousness at the end of the day that really helps us to heal, really helps us to belong, to transmute, to feel that welcome. So honored that you are bringing that welcome. Oh, it's amazing. On Friday, I'm singing for the first time professionally in public at the Mind, Body, Soul exhibition. Mm-hmm. And one of the songs I'm singing is Ave Maria. And Ave is another word for welcome. Welcome, Goddess. Welcome, Divine Mother. Welcome. And we're welcoming back that energy that is our intuition, our own inner magic, our own inner alchemy, back for ourselves, each other, and the whole world, so that nothing really is off limits. We have boundless opportunity, boundless energy, boundless love, boundless possibility and capability, and all else besides.
Absolutely. It's so beautiful. And it is an experience that's lived together. And it's an invitation. I'm mindful to talk of water as in it's a simple and clear invitation. Mm. Beyond that, it takes so many forms. If you're it's condensation, it's the clouds, it's the rivers, it's the lakes, and in all her many forms, as we receive, we know we can share and we can serve. There is no tear that doesn't know the salt and water. Mm. And that to me is so much of what you have called forth. It's beautiful. And I'm honored to serve. I'm honored to serve.
And today, as you said that, literally today, my water alchemy oracle has gone to press. Which actually takes you on a journey through the solid, the gas, the liquid, and all the properties of the water as a tool for healing, and obviously our emotional landscape and so much more besides. So we're not at all on the same page, are we?
Well, again, it's the obedience, recognizing that it landed within me. And many of us have so many beautiful gifts, and there might be places for language for those gifts. But for those who haven't got language, my invitation is just speak it, because you get these precious moments like this one. There I was thinking, I was going to think I'm mad, but it turns out it doesn't really matter. Speak it, and it might be as beautiful as you can only imagine. Was meant to be for us to enjoy.
How often do we hold back what pops into our heads, thinking, oh, that's just my imagination, or that's not relevant? And so much of it ends up being so relevant, and these joint messages, these joint experiences, symbols, signs from the universe, that are absolutely connecting us through the ethers. It's just we're telepathic. I think our natural state is that telepathic, empathic state.
Absolutely. But that's a conversation we can have. And I think part of the journey that we're invited to do is to recognize the power of the word, to embrace that power, so that we're more comforted as we release into something even more spacious, even more spacious. That knowing that is telepathic requires some cultivation, that soil and soul and marriage, as you put it. It's our own marriage. And it may start with the mothering of self, and then invite the sacred of both the masculine and feminine, and then go and step out beyond, so that we can truly know we are held, we are integrated, and we are a formative part of this utterly new era.
Pioneers. I love it. Oh, Yolanda, I could go on speaking with you and just bathing in this beautiful energy for ages, but I am going to just ask, how can people get in touch with you? Could you share your website and all of your details?
Pleasure. My website is www.yolandasokiri.com, and I'm sure it'll be in the sort of access and the information that will come out. I'm currently on the following platforms with an energy that's vibrant and alive, and that's Instagram under the name of Poetic_Soul_Healer. And I'm also on Facebook as Poetic_Soul_Healer. I enjoy saying the underscore.
I like the underscore too. Underscore, it's a very nice word. It really does have a nice...
Yeah, it's a note that I bring to the work that I do. I understand it's for many who felt beneath, held back, shrunk back. And the score is a symphony that we create together.
I was going to say, it's very musical, the underscore, almost like the undertones of the soul's music, the soul's... Oh gosh, you've opened something up in me today. This is stunning, absolutely stunning. Angel, so beautiful to connect with you. And for those watching, I'm going to put all the links to Yolanda's social media and her website and everything below, as well as the information on how you can book your tickets to Alchymystic on the 5th and 6th of November 2022. And please do come and join us. We would love to see you there. And well, I, for one, can't wait to meet this one in person so that we could have a big hug. I'm so looking forward to that. This is going to be so magical. And are there any parting words you'd like to say to our viewers here today?
A lot of us hear all sorts of BS out there. My invitation, let's claim a new form, brave and sacred.
Beautiful. I love it. Thank you so much, beautiful heart. What a gorgeous conversation. And I'm so looking forward to seeing you in November. And
Absolutely the same for me. It's a joy, it's a privilege. It's not every day you meet an embodied angel, but when you do, you know it. Thank you for being. Thank you.
likewise, likewise, it's a mirror, a soul mirror. Absolutely beautiful. Thank you so much, beloved. And thank you so much, everybody, for joining us here. Please come and join us in person and have a hug and a love in, and just come and sit in this beautiful woman's amazing presence. Thank you for watching.